Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bleav in Iowa. I'm Brady Beedon. He's Logan Blackman, former Hawkeye tight end Dominique Dafney, and the Hawkeyes are getting ready for a big-time clash against the number 11 ranked Indiana Hoosiers. And this is where I want to start. Before we dive into any of the specific X's and O's with this game, a couple weeks ago, or either before or after the UMass game, I said Iowa should be 5-1 going into their game against Penn State, and that included a win against Indiana. Now, I'll be the first to admit I discounted the Hoosiers quite a lot. I thought they'd be good. I didn't think they would be 53 points better than Illinois good. In fact, I thought they'd lose that game if I was being honest. So now that Indiana's 4-0, they're a playoff team from last year. I'm going to start with this simple question. Is it fair for fans to expect a win, to say, you know what? We're a program that can go toe-to-toe. You get Indiana at home. It's not Ohio State. It's not Oregon. It's not Penn State. If I'm going to go to the game, if I'm going to go to Kinnick, if I'm going to sit at home and watch it, I can hope for and expect a Hawkeye win. Is that a fair statement?
I don't know if I'm feeling expect. I mean, if you're looking at the brands of Iowa and Indiana football, then from that aspect, I would go, yeah, I'm expecting Iowa to beat Indiana because if you're looking at teams like that with like if it doesn't really matter how good Rutgers ever is, like I'm always going to want to think that Iowa can beat Rutgers on any given day, but Indiana, just how they're playing right now, they're different than what they've seen in the Indianas in past. And like Iowa's gone toe to toe with Michael Penix before and got 3 interceptions against him at Kinnick Stadium, and he obviously went on to do great things at Washington. But they've gone up against good Indiana teams, but this Indiana team just is different. Like they're scoring more than what they did last year, and I said this in the preseason when I was doing some like pre-draft stuff and pre-college football stuff. I think they got an upgrade at the quarterback position, which is crazy to think about going with what Curtis Work did last year, playing on a torn ACL and doing all the stuff that he did for Indiana, finished ninth in the Heisman Trophy race. Fernando Mendoza is just different. Like, and I said this on Saturday when we were talking about the Indiana, Illinois. It's nice to see Mendoza in an offense that actually utilizes his skill set and not at a place like Cal that is the most blasé system of all time. But you could see little pops here and there with his arm strength in there, the mobility that he has. He's not like a world-class athlete, but he can definitely hurt you on the ground. And those receivers that Indiana has, like Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, he brought Jonathan Brady over from Cal as well. And there's just an interestingly built Indiana team that's just not afraid of anybody. They're not going to back down to anybody, but it's in Kinnick, which I love. I think that's an awesome thing for Iowa to get this game at Kinnick. I think Iowa's offense is getting in the right rhythm at the right time, finding out what's working for Gronowski, what's not. And I think they can build that as the rest of the season goes on. But this is a scary one. I'm a little nervous. It's not just because of the 63-10 win. I was nervous about this before this game as well, but it's expect, I don't know, but I always got an upset in them every once in a while, and they've got some big games against big teams like Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State in the past. So I'm not going to rule it out of the question, but I don't know if I'm expecting it at the point.
Yeah, it's a strong word, especially when we expected our fifth-year senior quarterback to come out and kind of play with ease and get easy wins against UMass and respectfully against Iowa States of the world when we brought him over assuming that he was going to play at the same level. So when we talk about expectations for Iowa football in the past, I'd honestly give it 3-4 years. It's hard to see a team like Indiana. And I mean, you could go back to KF's interview from, I think it was yesterday, when he's equating them to Ohio State last year, saying that they got great receivers and pro-ready receivers, and he even said that he would, if he had a vote in the Heisman candidate race, he would give it to Mendoza. So, I mean, when you have a team like that has so many weapons, and they have a quarterback like that leading the helm, that's kind of hard to stop. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball well. So it's like it's hard to they expect. Now, of course, do I want them to win? Is the Iowa fan in me want them to win? Absolutely. But to say I expect them to win against a team that just dog walked Illinois, that we were high on all year, to assume that, to expect that, I feel like that's kind of talking out of my ass a little bit. So I don't think I would say that, and I don't know if I would go that far.
Yeah, expect is a tough word. Know what you guys are saying, but I feel like it's somewhere above hope because it's not. I'm not just going in like, man, I hope we give it the old college try, and if we get a few bounces, but it's not quite to the. You know what? We're gonna go in and we're gonna get this. Like help me find where you guys are at confidence level wise, because I think this is a. Let's put it this way: it's a winnable game. I think for Iowa, and if Iowa wants to be what we hope they can be, and that's a borderline playoff team most years. You got 5 big games on your schedule this year. Iowa State, which you already lost that one. Indiana, you host Oregon, you host Penn State, and you go to USC. Those are your 5 big games. For me, I think you got to get at least 2 of them for me to be satisfied with the season. Is that a fair way to put it? And this, in having already dropped 1, it makes this Indiana game that much bigger.
You know, the weird thing I'm thinking about, I never thought I would say this before the season started. I actually, given what we've seen up to this point, I feel more confident to get that win. I hate saying that, it feels wrong, but given history as well, I feel like I'm more confident in beating Penn State at this point in time than beating Indiana, just because of the offense that Penn State's running.
Statement.
Just because Drew Aller's all over the place right now, and the receivers aren't really connecting that great right now with them, and they run an offense that Iowa can halter a little bit. Like Indiana's passing attack is what scares me the most against Iowa, because the corners we've talked about before were the big factor going into the season. You look at Surratt, Cooper, Jonathan Brady. But the thing that kind of got under the radar against Illinois is that they ran for over 200 yards as well. Like, they're not just this throw it over the top of everybody, but if they need to, they can go quick, up tempo. Penn State's not going to go up tempo. I think this offense scares more than Penn State's offense. Now, Penn State's got players on defense as well, like Dennis on the defensive line there, but Indiana just is a weird team. And I'm not sitting here going like, if Indiana played Penn State, then Penn State would get beaten by Indiana. I'm not saying that, but I just feel like Iowa matches up a little better with Penn State, and I think they could pull out some there. And I'm not sitting here going like Iowa's going to roll over against Indiana. We're going to see another 63-10 win here. Like, I saw something on Twitter today that said Indiana was going to win 45-17. I don't think that's I don't think that's on the cards whatsoever. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting match. I would give my percentage wise, because it's at home, I would say I'm like, I never want to say Iowa's going to lose a game, but I feel like I'm like 40% right now confident in Iowa in this one.
I think that's fair when you have essentially a top 10 team coming in. Like, that's kind of where I'm saying it's above hope, because hope is kind of like last year when they went to Ohio State. I hope they do well. I'll be pleased if they don't, or if they do, but I'm not going to kill them if they don't. But I feel like it's a little bit above that for this. Dom, I mean, where are you at?
I mean, I'd agree. I'd say either 30 to 40%, simply because I was kind of having higher hopes for our offense at this point of time. When we were 4 weeks in, I was hoping that we'd have more than 2 good offensive games under our belt, and one of them being against UMass. You know, I was hoping that we would have better to show for it. I was hoping that our secondary and our linebacker core would look like bounce back more and look a little bit more stout than they have. So when you talk about playing against a team like Indiana that has shown now 2 years in a row that they put the ball in the end zone at a high rate, I mean, it doesn't leave you with the confidence that you were hoping for going into this game. Because I was all with you after you said you wanted us to be 5-1 going into Penn State. I agreed. I would have thought that the fact that we played Indiana at home gave us a better matchup. You know, I remember when it was 2016, we were Ohio State at home. We were like, well, at least we're playing at home. You know, if this was at Ohio State, we're getting dog walked because they had players. And if we were playing this at Indiana with the way that their program is going, the way that their fans are showing up, you know, I would probably be a little bit less confident. But because we're at Iowa, and because it'll turn into like a midnight game, like it won't be late night, but it'll be dark by the second half. So it'll turn into like Kinnick at night. And we know how it gets when it gets to be at night in Kinnick and the fans are rocking, you know, everybody's there, and you have a Big Ten opponent, or a top 10 opponent at your house. I mean, you're going to show up. The energy is going to be there, and the momentum is what's going to be most important in this game. And can you play a clean game of football? Can you get off the field when it's third down? Can you extend drive when it's third down? So that's really going to be kind of our test. Is not can we keep up with them scoring, but can we make this game extremely sticky? Can we keep the foot on the gas? Can we keep the ball in our hands and not have this be back and forth? Not to have to turn into a punt party. I mean, can we our best job at this Iowa as possible? Lean on the fact that we're at home and utilize momentum in our crowd to try to turn this into as sticky a game as possible.
Let's get into the actual game now, because I feel like, Dom, you hit the nail on the head that you almost have to turn this into a rock fight. Like, yes, we want Iowa's offense to be high flying, but I feel like the stereotypical Iowa game will help the Hawkeyes here. Last year, there was really only one game for Indiana where it wasn't all or nothing. Last year, basically, it felt like they scored 30 plus, most of the time 40 plus, and got a win, or their offense got shut down and they did nothing. The one exception was they beat Michigan like 20-15. It was some weird score. But besides that, it was basically all or nothing for the Hoosiers. You know, obviously Mark Gronowski and the offense, we've talked a ton about what they need to do. But for me, the defense has to get off to a quick start here. If Indiana comes in and it's bing, bang, boom, wow, and it's 7-0, 4 minutes in, could be a long day. But if the defense can get off to a quick start, maybe get a little pressure on Fernando Mendoza. Because the one other thing for Indiana, this year's Indiana team, they haven't even played in almost a close game. How are they going to handle being in a second half dogfight? Now you have to get it there first, and there is the possibility Indiana has this game in hand by halftime. But Iowa went through a rock fight against Iowa State. They have been a little bit battle tested. How is Indiana going to respond? Logan, what does Iowa need to do to win this game?
I think they, like you said, they just need to control the tempo of the game, let her get physical with Indiana, because the thing that I always look at with these types of offenses with Indiana, where they're just so quick, so high powered, they have weapons all over the place. Like, they have NFL wide receivers, they have guys in the backfield that can make massive plays, both in the pass game and in the run game. Mendoza can create plays with his legs if he needs to extend the plays a little bit. Just keep pressuring and closing down those windows, because Indiana works really fast. They're a very fast team. They're not worried about like, oh, they'll set up something deep. But if you look at the game against Indiana, some of the throws Mendoza was making, a lot of them were between 6 to 7 yards, 6 to Illinois, 10-yard pass plays. Yeah. And they would work down the field like that, and they'd hit a little screen play. Like, they get a 37-yard screen touchdown, or they would get a running back would break off a 40-yard play. They just keep going 6 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards, 9 yards, and then 30, and then they're in the end zone. Like, it's just, you got to be able to halt those little short plays, because that's how they get their momentum building. If you're able to cut down the windows, get pressure on Mendoza, get in his face, and hit him in the mouth. Get a nice little shot right here. Get a nice one little time right to the chin. Get him thinking, because his face mask is so tiny. I don't know why his face mask is as small as it is. Just get a nice little shot right. I'm not saying go out and bounty gate or anything, but just go out and hit him.
You're there.
Yeah, let them know you're there. And I think if they're able to do that and put together on offense like some 16, 15 play drives, like we saw against Iowa State, the two best drives they had against Iowa State were 15, 16 play drives where they're running the ball well, where they're hitting the underneath passes. And Gronowski, like we talked about, is building that confidence that we saw against Rutgers. They can keep building on and just make this a goal game. Like, I want to see get the start the game and just set a tempo right there. Go, okay, we're going to get the ball first. Weekend, if you house it, sweet. If not, we're just going to drive this down the field. We're going to Notre Dame, Ohio State. You have the first drive of the game. We're going to run the ball 20 times, and we're going to get down the field, build up 9 minutes of possession, and just make you slow down a little bit. Because that's what I hate bringing this up, but that was the Giants-Bills Super Bowl back in the 90s. The Bills had this high-powered offense, and the Giants just slowed it down. And once you slowed it down, then it's easier to attack it. So I just hope that Iowa's able to control that side of things, because if you don't control that, then Indiana is not afraid to just absolutely let it rip. They're not afraid to do that. So it's just about controlling the possession, the tempo, the physicality, and I think Iowa could pull out something there if they're able to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty much similar to what I had as far as, like, you know, I kind of write like 2 or 3 keys to victory every week, and the first one I had was third down success. And like I said, extending drives, not having it be 3 and out here, 3 and out here. That's what got Illinois beat. I think they might have had 2, 3, maybe 4, 3 in a drives in that first half while Indiana's just stacking points. Like you guys are just off the field, and some of those drives were negative yards. So that's one way to automatically get it to be 63-10. That's how you're going to get beat. If you can't extend drives and if you can't get off the field when it's third and long, third and short, it's going to be a long day. So, I mean, to have a third down to success against a team that obviously shows that they can put points up on the board extremely fast, that's going to be most important. And, of course, that goes on both sides of the ball. And the other thing I had was, just play clean football. I think Curt Cignetti said it best is the Iowa football is not going to beat themselves. We're going to have to beat them. So from our standpoint, we can't beat ourselves. We can't have silly turnovers. We can't have missed assignments. We can't have drops. We can't have all the stuff that plagues football teams from the beginning of time. We can't do those type of things against an opponent like this who's going to take advantage of everything that you don't do well. So we can't be beating ourselves first and foremost. We can't be having drops. We can't be skipping balls to our receivers. We can't be whatever it may look like we'd be doing those things if we're going to beat this team. And then, of course, the last thing I had was swing first, and these David versus Goliath type games where you got an offense that scores 50 points a game and you got an offense that was like, hey, we know how to throw the ball now. So it's like when you have two teams that are on opposite sides of the coin like that, momentum's going to be a big thing. And it really helps. Like I brought up the Ohio State game in 2017. I could throw it back to the Michigan game in 2016. Like I remember the time when that moment when Jaleel Johnson got the safety and that made a huge swing. And I think Anthony, I think it was either one of the Nelsons, I want to say, blocked a field goal. It was like those two moments swung it completely into our side and made it just a straight Iowa football game where it was like, this is ugly. Like a safety and a blocked field goal in one game. Like what kind of football game is this? So it's like those type of moments is what gonna make this game extremely sticky, is what gonna help us make this as Iowa football as possible, so it doesn't get into an air raid. So those are three things. I feel like if we can do all three of those, or at least 2 out of 3 of those, we give ourselves the best chance to win.
Yeah, look across that Indiana sideline. Tell them they merely adopted the darkness. Iowa's been born into it with that ugly, ugly game sometimes. And listen, like I said, I want to kind of try to get Iowa to shed that stereotype, but sometimes you got to bring it down and make it a rock fight. What do you guys make of the comments that Curt Cignetti, is this just coach speak, or does this actually mean something when Cignetti says, oh, wow, yeah, Iowa's going to be a much tougher challenge than Illinois? Was that him basically saying, yeah, we took care of business, we're not going to beat them by 50? Or is that a coach that looks at the tape and goes, all right, this is actually going to be a challenge?
I think it's a happy mixture of both. I do think he thinks that this will be a little bit of a challenge for Iowa for Indiana, because Iowa can make it muddy, like Dom talked about. Like Iowa can bring, or what you both talked about, where it's like merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it. Like Iowa can bring you down to that level. But I do think there's also a little bit of like still throwing trash at Illinois, because I think there was I saw a video of Brett Bielema the other day where like he was going over comments of Indiana fans going like, it's just Illinois. And they were like, he was saying something about Indiana back. So I think there's a little bit of a thing going with Cignetti, because one thing we know about Curt Cignetti, he ain't afraid to talk shit. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to say, and he'll say whatever he wants, whatever's on his mind. So I do think there's a happy medium between like the coach speak and the little bit of a dig in there. I think I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised when I heard him say it.
Petty or coach, real quick. Dan Lanning and Curt Cignetti.
Ooh. Probably Cignetti.
I don't know.
It's
Lanning
close.
dropped a bomb on Oklahoma State. He put up 69. He put up Mike Gundy's tombstone for him just because he was complaining about money. That is the Petty Bowl right there.
I mean, but when you talk about those two, there's one person who does it post game, and there's one guy who does it like pre-game. I think there's Curt Cignetti is a pre-game shit talker. Like I think we're gone. Do this, and then Dan Lanning is up by 50 talking about on the sideline, like shaking his shoulders. So it's like, I mean, which one's more petty? I think what was that in the Michael Jordan doc where he's like, it's easy to talk when you're up 20. Talk that shit when it's 0-0. So it's like I would lead towards Curt Cignetti on that one, but also with his comments, I think probably a little bit of both. I mean, you have to kind of give your opponent, you don't want to give them any bulletin board talk of to try to make this one as sticky.
Signetti doesn't care.
I mean, he doesn't, but you got to think what
He
happened
wins.
last year.
Google
How did
him.
last year end? We were talking like, oh, this is going to be. People learn from their mistakes, and
Yeah,
they
and
was
then in the
talking crazy, and then
playoffs-
they showed up. They didn't show up against, respectfully, Michigan, and they didn't show up against Notre Dame. So it's like, I think there's still going to be that level of Curt Signetti that we saw last year, but it's going to be toned down, maybe buttoned up a little bit to where he's just not off the hinges. He might not be on Matthew's show every week. There's going to be a little bit of that is drawn back and toned down a little bit. So I think there is a bit of a 50-50. I think obviously you play a top 10 team and you boat race them. You're going to talk a little shit. And of course, like you said, him and Brett Bielema or whatever kind of thing they had going back and forth, there's going to be a little chirping. I mean, it's college football. It's turning into a reality TV show at this point. So yeah, though whatever you could do to up the ratings, to have better NIL coming in, we got to talk a little bit more. Like, it is what it is. But I feel like you have to respect your opponent, especially a team like Iowa that's been in it for so long and does such good things and all the stuff that we've done. And I feel like it's just a respect level for the two head coaches who are great at what they do and have been doing what they do for a long time. So I would kind of lean on that 50-50, maybe leaning towards a little bit more at Illinois. But, I mean, it is still Curt Signetti, so you could never be too sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask Logan this because Dom, you don't know anything about this. Why did the spread open at Indiana only a 3.5-point favorite? Because when you would think that would be, now it's gone up to 7.5. That's a big jump. But kind of like the Illinois USC game, when that opened, that spread looked a little peculiar. Logan, is that something, or is that me trying to cope and find a reason to believe in Iowa? No pun intended.
Oh, I like that. But I don't know. We need some reasons. I'll take some if I can get any more reasons to believe in Iowa, then I'll take it. I will definitely take it. But yeah, it was interesting. I did notice that a little bit ago. So definitely something to look out for. Definitely something to look out for there.
So, all right, guys, does Iowa get it done at home? 11th ranked Indiana. How does this game go? What are you feeling? 5:30 on Saturday afternoon.
I'm good. I think I'm gonna echo what Dom said. I think just not going 3 and out. If Iowa can, because one thing you cannot do in a shoot off is have your gun jam on you. So if your own gun jams, that just opens up more times for you to get shot the entire time. So if your defense just keeps going onto the field and your offense keeps going 3 and out and your defense has no time to rest, it's gonna keep snowballing. It's just gonna keep getting snowballed. But I don't think Iowa's gonna do that. I don't think Iowa's done a pretty solid job this year at handling the football. Like, Gronowski had the pick against Iowa State, obviously, but they've done a pretty good job at holding on to the football. I think Jazz Patterson being out is going to be a big loss in the running back room, but I think Moulton being back last week was big. So I'm excited to see what this game could be. I hate saying that I'm not like the most confident. Like, the fan in me always wants Iowa to win. They'll always say Iowa's going to win the game, but the pessimistic part of me is like, I don't know. Indiana's offense pretty good. They got some good players on defense coming around the edge as well. This might be a little too much, but I don't know. I'm kind of like stuck in the middle right now, and I'm kind of getting upset about that because I don't want to be on that side of things. But I feel like right now I feel like Indiana will probably win. But hey, anything's possible. Kinnick, 2:30 on a Saturday. Can't ask for much more. Just go out and take it. Just go out and take it, Hawks. Go out and take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the old Madden adage where if we're down by 21, you might as well pass the sticks at any point in time. If it's 21-0, if it's 42-21, whatever it's gonna look like. If we're down by 21, I mean, we might just film from right there and be like, hey, we came out swinging, and we met the bigger opponent, we met the bigger, badder man. There's always someone faster. So if that first half is going to be very important, and coming out fast and moving the ball well and scoring points, no matter what that may look like, is going to be very important. So if we're able to continue to chew the clock and put points up and, maybe a couple more push touches into the end zone, then we can make this an Iowa football game. But if I turn on I want to say it was that Rose Bowl when I went and took a shower and I came back.
Christian McCaffrey, yeah.
And we were down by 20. I said, ooh, I might not even turn the game on. It might be over with. So as long as we don't have any of those experiences again, I think we can make this as Iowa football as possible and give ourselves the best chance. But if we get down by 20 plus, go ahead and pass them sticks.
I'll raise you one more. You'll know by the end of the first quarter. If it's within, let's call it 3 or 4 points in the first quarter, then Iowa's going to have a damn good shot at winning the game. You will know within the first 20 to 30 minutes of this football game if it's worth watching. And you know what? Maybe I have a little too much faith. I just think Indiana, when they get up on teams, they get style points. So that's like most teams would have beaten Illinois 49-10, 42-10, which is still a blowout, but doesn't look as gaudy as 63-10. I think Indiana's a really good team. I don't know. I just have a good feeling about this one, like a weird 23-21 Hawkeye win. Maybe I'm out there, but that's how I see it going. Maybe I'm the blue-eyed optimist of the group. So, all right, fellas. Hopefully, we're celebrating an Indiana win or a win over Indiana to start next week. Dom, let them know where they can find us on social media before we go home.
We got X, we got YouTube now up and running for sure. We got TikTok, and of course, we got Instagram.
All at Bleav, BLEAV in Iowa. For Logan Blackman, for former Hawkeye tight end Dominique Dafney, I'm Brady Beedon. You've been listening to Bleav in Iowa.